Hey everybody, I hope that you are doing well. You may have seen a video earlier where we were testing this stuff out, or we're testing it out again. My name is Jonathan, just in case you don't know me and this video was sent to you. And I am on staff with InterVarsity Christian Fellowship. I am a senior resource specialist in the multi-ethnic initiatives department. You can feel free to post to say, hey, your mic works, it sounds good and all that good stuff, just so I know everything's working as it should be. The reason that I'm streaming today is because I wanted to give a bit of an update between taking care of kids and prepping meals and making sure our house is running all right. We've got some pretty big updates, and I wanted to share them with you and with our partners. Some of you were part of the Dethroning White American Jesus conference last week. It was a wonderful experience. I am deeply, deeply grateful for Brandy Miller, for Scott Hall, for Mikaela Kanui, for Ryan Moyer, for all of the people that were engaged. Sylvia, way out in Oakland, just deeply grateful for all of their work. And I think all of us know that you can't we won't conference our way out of white supremacy, patriarchy, and exploitation. We won't be able to have mountaintop experiences that will carry us through the valleys unless we will actually have some disciplines that will take us out of a faith that is colonized and exploitative and not helpful into one that is just loving and beautiful as Jesus called us to. And so I was glad to work on that conference with that wonderful team, but to really focus on the follow-up from that. And the main follow-up from that is our IVED Reads program that's going to start this June, July, and August. And now we can't read our way out of white supremacy either, but books are a great place to start. And then gathering around these texts and gathering around these authors and gathering around one another, that we might begin to do the good, hard work of unlearning things that have really done violence to us and to other people and to the planet. And Jesus created us to flourish, work, rule, and create. And so we're hoping the IVED Reads and our hashtag Beyond the Book program can help some transformative things begin to happen. And so you can go to experientialdiscipleship.com, click on events, and there you will see the books that you can buy. These are the books that we're going to be looking at. The first one is for the month of June. We'll be looking at my book, focusing on Christian nationalism and leaving that. Why is that not a thing for Jesus and it should not be a thing for Christians? Actually, people who follow Jesus. So we'll be looking at that in June. So next Tuesday, there'll be an interview with me and my editor, Al Shee, via Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Periscope, things like that. And you'll be able to comment, ask questions, all that good stuff. Then we'll also have subsequent lives that will happen where you'll be able to interact with me, begin to ask questions and stuff like that. The following week, we'll be just giving practical steps on how we can engage with people caught up in Christian nationalism, but also walk out of these lies ourselves. Okay, and so in July, we'll be looking at Steve Tamayo's book on ethnic identity. And so he's a wonderful leader. So again, just like in June, we'll do an interview with the author. We would ask questions, have conversations, and then we'll have follow-up to come up from that as well throughout the month. Instagram lives, Facebook lives, to be able to practice this stuff wherever we are around the country. There's people signed up all over. And so we're hoping that you can gather in small groups and begin to live these things out nearby and worldwide, so that all of the places that colonization and exploitation has touched, the kingdom of God and the redemptive love of Jesus can also invade those spaces as well. And in August, we'll be looking at Chandra Crane's book, specifically her book, Mixed Blessing, Examining White Supremacy and Why That is Not of the Kingdom of God either. That has no place in the family of Jesus. So in June, July, and August, we'll be looking at Christian nationalism, which is not a thing. Is not a thing as part of the kingdom of God. Also, July, we'll be looking at racism. Also, racism, not a thing Jesus is cool with. And then August, we'll be looking at white supremacy. And so I want to invite you to grab these books. Right now, they are 50% off and there's free shipping so that you can get them easily. And then I'd love to invite you to gather small group of people and go through these books, because books read in isolation don't really lead to much. Like, we're just gathering Christian knowledge and content. I think Christians, unfortunately, are caught up in the capitalism industrial complex where we just consume material, right? As opposed to gathering around content that will engage us with the life of God, that we might be able to live our lives more fully. So I want to highly encourage you to grab those books that are steeply discounted, and gather around, and then gather around your computer screens. I know there's lots of content coming at you, but I hope these things will be helpful to you on your journey, particularly in this season of life, where the summer, with different anniversaries coming up. We just passed the Tulsa Massacre. We just passed the tension of Memorial Day and how to be engaged with that, grieving and appreciating our country. Additionally, there's more things coming as we reflect on the year after George Floyd, and then the other Tulsas that will be discovered, the bodies that were discovered in the boarding schools in Canada. There's a lot of stuff happening, but we're hoping to bring these things home so we can engage with them, not just from a systemic level, but a personal, relational level. So we really hope that the IVED Reads campaign, book club, and discipleship module, whatever you want to call it, will actually help us begin to speak, act, and live differently in the world that we find ourselves in. Now, also a part of that, some of you are wondering about our Emotionally Healthy Activist course. We are actually taking on cohorts this summer. So there will be people from all over the country engaging with our Emotionally Healthy Activist course. If you're interested in being a part of that, you can go to emotionallyhealthyactivist.com and send me a quick message or DM me on any of the platforms here, and I'd be glad to get in touch with you and put you on the list. It's gonna be converted into a fully virtual platform that we're gonna be launching in the fall, God willing. And so if you're interested in being a part of that cohort, please do feel free to DM me, and I'll follow up with you about that. And thank you to all of you who have already signed up in Wisconsin and California and DC and Florida. And so I'm excited as we get ready to dive into that content. Lastly, for our ministry partners, thank you so much for your prayers and your giving that have sustained us this entire year. We've been doing a lot of work behind the scenes to try and create things that will be relevant and helpful in the midst of all of the multi-layered sufferings that are happening. And so we hope that the conference that we produced and we're a part of with the different departments in InterVarsity, the book club that's coming in June, July, and August, and the virtual opportunities that we are creating, along with the Emotional Healthy Activist course, along with our podcasts and resources, will actually create the frameworks necessary to be helpful for us to engage authentically, sincerely, and with Christ at the center in all the things that are happening. And so the big difference, for those of you who have been with us for a long time, is that we usually have this mix of paid programs and free programs, and donors and supporters make sure those things are happening. Unfortunately, because of COVID, there have been no in-person programs this year, and we actually will not do our summer immersion program. We fly people from all over the country and they live residentially for 2 months and do this work. And we weren't able to do that in March and April either. So we weren't able to run the 6 to 8 sessions that we usually do as well. So that creates about a $15,000 to $20,000 gap in our budget. And so all of our programs will be free of charge this summer. And so what I'm asking is that all of our monthly donors and regular donors would give $250 by June 30th. And so what that will allow us to do, it'll pay for all the programming that is coming. And then it will also help fund the innovation that's going to happen for the fall, because all of our programs are going to be made virtual, and we'll be having to get technology and things like that to be able to track what would be the most helpful across these platforms in the season we find ourselves in, as we do things in person, but more increasingly online. Because if you're asking yourself who needs to decolonize their faith, the answer is us. Like, it's not just a college student thing or a Generation Z thing. It's actually all of us are dealing with the multi-layered suffering that's happening right now. And I'm grateful that God has given us this gift, this ministry, this charis, to engage in a faithful, genuine way that creates spaces for people to be seen, heard, and loved before God, regardless of the baggage we bring to the communion table. And so If you are a donor to this ministry or would like to become a donor to this ministry so they can continue into the fall and we can continue to innovate and change so that we can meet the needs of the day, I just want to say thank you in advance. You can DM me if you have questions about what that looks like. But I want to encourage you again to go to experientialdiscipleship.com, experientialdiscipleship.com, click on events. We'll be having vision calls next week. We'll also be streaming those so people can actually hear the back end, be able to ask questions about how these things work. But our hope is that 100 people at least would give about $250. If that's not within your range, please do feel free to give less. If that's below what you're able to give, please do feel free to give more. And I am deeply grateful, and our staff team and folks downstream of our work say thank you. So I really appreciate all of you for taking the time to be with us today. Please do sign up for our book club that's going to start next Tuesday night with an interview with me and Al Shee, the senior editor at IVP. And please get the books, because it's hard to be in a book club when you don't have the books. And keep your eyes peeled for more updates on social media as we get engaged with what it looks like to love our neighbors, our good God, and ourselves well in this tumultuous season. Thank y'all so much. Bye.